Hello Wobblies, welcome to Wobbly Otter Outdoors. I'm Chris, and in this video we're eating Greenbriars. In this video you'll see how to identify, harvest, and prep Greenbriars. Bill and I watch Bob Hansler's YouTube channel. Bob Hansler is a survivalist and primitive skill instructor who lives in the state of Texas. By education, he is a biologist and an educator. We recently saw one of Bob's videos where he discussed and showed how to eat Greenbriars. This was new and intriguing to me. Bill and I have grown up in Texas, and we've spent a lot of times in the outdoors, but never realized that you could eat Greenbriars. After seeing Bob's video, we immediately went outside to harvest and try it out. Many thanks to Bob Hansler for sharing his knowledge and bringing to life the use for a Greenbriar to us. Always before I'd seen Greenbriars as a nuisance. They are truly nature's barbed wire, and I would whack them off at ground level. Not anymore. Greenbriars are found most often along fence rows and in stands of trees and brush where they're not going to be trampled, disturbed, or cut off. In making this video, I have learned more about the variety of Greenbriars. We actually have two varieties, and at first I thought one was safe and one wasn't. But they're both safe. They're both Greenbriars. They're both edible. There are three distinguishing features that indicate that it is a Greenbriar and it's edible. First off is they have both tendrils, which are these little arms that they stretch out to grab on to things to climb. And they both have thorns. So that's two of the three ways you can tell. Tendrils and thorns, both on the same vine. And the third way you can tell is that they are palmate. They are palmately-veined, which means that the main veins of the leaf all meet where the stem attaches to the leaf. Both of these are Greenbriars, and both are edible. I didn't realize until doing this video that this is also a Greenbriar. So when you look at the back of them, actually you realize just how similar they are. The part that is edible is the new growth that will be at the very tip of the Greenbriar. This one looks to have been either eaten or popped off. And on some of them you'll see that it does have little beginnings of thorns on the tender new shoots. Those are very flexible and not at all prickly. But it doesn't take long down the stem for them to become prickly, so be careful. It does vine, it grows up trees. It doesn't grow as quickly as, say, a grapevine grows, but they do grow pretty fast. This particular Greenbriar doesn't have the fresh new growth. It's still hard, and so this part isn't edible. Interesting in this frame is we also have poison oak, the three leaves together. So I have to be very careful because I'm very susceptible, and there's quite a few bits of it. There's some over there. Also in this shot we have a Virginia creeper, which is here. It usually has 5 leaves, like that one. This part of it happens to have 4 leaves. It is also a vining plant, so it's careful to know what to beware of, not to touch, what's vining that won't hurt you, and what's vining that's very prickly, but in this video we're going to eat it. Another plant to be aware of that can cause you serious stinging discomfort and pain is the bull nettle plant. This is a good example of how to identify Greenbriars when compared to other similar vines. This is the Greenbrier leaf, and the vine itself has thorns. right next to it and intertwined with it is another vine that has very similar shaped leaves, but this vine is not Greenbrier. There are no thorns on its vine. The part that you eat is the tender new growth tip of the Greenbrier. This one is very long and slender. It's one of the longest tender looking tips that I've seen on our property. What Bob notes in his video is what you do is you grab the tip of the vine and tug, and what you want to do is let naturally the part you're tugging on that's tender break loose, because there's a point that's hard to tell by sight where it stops being tender and pleasant to eat and it becomes more woody and fibrous. So what we'll do is we will just grab and hold the back of the vine and tug and see where it naturally breaks. And this is pretty typical, still pretty typical of the longer ones that I've seen where it breaks. There's no thorns on the tip. Let's go see if we can find some more. This one's really prickly close to the end. We're on a part of our property where I haven't harvested Greenbrier tips. And you can see that these tips are gone. Deer will also eat them. We have a white-tailed deer doe that has a couple of fawns. She and the other deer in the area been munching. How do Greenbrier tips taste? In Bob Hansler's video, he says that they taste like green beans. And they do taste a lot like green beans. That's probably about the closest you can come to a vegetable that we're used to eating to know kind of what it's similar to. I sauteed these in just a little bit of butter, and it's really nice to just get them warmed through but not really cook them too much, because the texture of the stems is just so fantastic, and it's young tender growth, so it is tender without much cooking, and you can eat them raw. They are just amazing. The texture, the subtle flavor, it's so mellow and so pleasant. And it's just wonderful. I love Greenbrier tips. In his video, Bob Hansler adds a spice to his Greenbrier tips, and he also harvested mushrooms and some other things in that video. We'll put a link to that video down in the description below. But in his video, he mentions a spice called chupacabra spice that he added just a little bit to season the things that he foraged. And that chupacabra spice is wonderful. So a sincere thank you to Bob Hansler for his work and his knowledge in introducing us to Greenbrier tips and all the other things that are naturally occurring in our area that would be good for survival purposes. And frankly, I've come to love Greenbrier tips enough that I will harvest them every year. Down in the description below, we'll put lots of links, including a link to Bob Hansler's YouTube channel and also his video on harvesting Greenbrier tips. There's no affiliation between us and Bob's channel. We just really appreciate it. Really thought this was interesting. The flavor of the Greenbrier tips is amazing, so we wanted to share. Down in the comments, let us know, were you aware you could eat Greenbrier tips? And have you ever tried them before? Thanks for watching, Wobbly Otter. We love you and hope all your tomorrows are bright. Until next time. Oh, he's got a snail attached. That's cool.